Calling to order the regular board meeting of June 23, 2022. The time is now 4:05 p.m. Please call the roll.
President Herrera,
Here.
Vice President Chavez. Here. Clerk Cortese. Here. Member Lay. Yeah. Member Doe.
Yeah.
Again, welcome. And are there any members of the public who would like to provide public comment to the board on a closed session agenda item at this time?
We have no online public comment.
Okay, and seeing none and hearing none in the boardroom, the board will now recess to a closed session. And we'll return at 6 p.m. for the public session. Thank you. Trustee Doe will join us in a moment. I'm going to start our public meeting. Thank you for being here tonight. The board has concluded its closed session and is now going to begin our public meeting. We begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. And again, thank you for being here. This is a regular board meeting of June 23, 2022. Members of the public, please submit your public comment as follows. You may raise your hand, your virtual hand in Zoom, to request to speak and offer comment in real time. In-person public commentators will be allowed entry 3 speakers at a time in the boardroom. Upon conclusion of a speaker's public comment on the agenda item, the speaker must exit the boardroom. You may also submit your public comment online by accessing the form on the district's home page, www.esuhsd.org, or the link on the agenda. Please reference the agenda item number in your written comment and limit your written comments to no more than 1,000 characters in length. Public comment submitted online will be read into the record. Please note that all meetings are recorded. All regular and special meetings of the Board of Trustees and board study sessions are streamed live on meeting nights and are also available for viewing the day after the meeting by accessing the district's YouTube channel listed on the district's webpage at www.esuhsd.org under the Quick Links section. The board is not able to respond to items that are not on the agenda or any personnel-related issues. Your comment will be read into the record and will be directed to the superintendent and/or the appropriate staff member for a response. Interpretation of this meeting in Spanish and Vietnamese can be heard by accessing the link and following the instructions shown on the agenda or the district's website. And with that general information, we're going to proceed item 5.1. This is where board members or the administration can suggest reordering how we proceed with the published agenda. And if there is no such request, we will proceed with the agenda as published.
There's no request to reorder.
Thank you. Under item 6, there are no board special recognitions today. And then under item 7, we do have our student governing board representative, Paula Escobar, and she has up to 5 minutes to make her report and give her comments. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are all having an amazing summer now that we are on vacation. And I come to you all again I know last meeting I was an ESUHSD alumni, and today I still am. And now it's my last board meeting, which is very odd to say out loud because it's been like it's been a long 4 years, but I think serving on this board and being on the student governing board has has allowed me to learn so much, both about my own community and about different schools across the school district. In this experience, like I've talked to so many different students from so many different walks of life. And one thing I found is that we all share a common connection, one that shows how dedicated we are to really learn and keep growing. I think that this lesson has really showed me the value of an education, what it means to me and what it means to other people. And I really hope to carry that forward as I go on to college and postgraduate beyond what high school is. And being in this position, I also got to see really get to see forefront what the problems in our district are. What ways can we work together and coalesce to find solutions to things that are happening across all of our school districts. And I think when we found something that Eastside does that I don't really see other school districts doing is finding strength in our diversity and making sure that we're finding ways to ensure that student voice is being heard on different levels. And I feel like every year we are improving on hearing student voice. And I feel like that's what I come to you now today. I come to you today as a high school student, a first generation high school student who's now going on to college, and as someone who really hopes to see similar wins within her community of people who come from similar backgrounds as me, as people who also come from a single parent household and people who have their parents who immigrated here from another country. Once again, I cannot thank ESUHSD for everything all the opportunities it has provided to me. And once again, to all the students and staff who have allowed me to grow. And at this last board meeting, I got to really celebrate with my other student governing board members. I'm really gonna miss all of them because again, they have just all taught me so much, and seeing their continued dedication and passion, regardless of what happens within their own home lives or regardless of what happens within our communities, I still see them every day coming every week with something new to say and with some incredible ideas on how we can improve. And I think ESUHSD can move forward with things such as, improving student mental health, making sure that students have access to an equitable sex education, making sure that students have the resources to enter higher education, know about trade school, know about the different opportunities available besides that, beyond a high school education. I think we are taking the steps necessary, and a lot of these things wouldn't have been done if it weren't for student voice. And I think that's something we should all take away from not only my time here as a student board member, but from those who came before me and for those that were going to come in this position and those who are going to speak at the board and from those who will share their stories with you all. And I'm once again so proud of all the graduates, proud of all my peers, proud of my family for supporting me along this journey. And I'm so thankful to, again, have you guys all in my community. And just thank you all for just standing by me through the turbulence of senior year, through the insecurities of the pandemic, through all of that. And all I can say now is that it has been an honor. And I know for certain that whoever comes after me is going to lead this with so much passion and pride, and that I too will leave as not only a new person, that's a weird way to put it, but as someone who is not only moving forward with the lessons that have been carried down to her, but open to new perspectives and open to new lessons on how we can really improve our education system. And so I want to just thank you all. And I'm going to stop now before I get all emotional because, again, this has meant so much to me. I remember coming in at just again, not a shy sophomore, but as a sophomore who really didn't know what was going to happen in the next few years. And now I'm leaving, and I just can't thank you all enough for this incredible experience.
Thank you, Student Governing Board Representative Paula Escobar. And as you said, this is your final meeting, and you are being presented with some flowers by Trustee Cortese. Serving on this board as Student Governing Board Representative goes way beyond, and above any normal type of service, it requires probably an incredible amount of time for you to be connected with your student councils and colleagues, and to be in our meetings, which are not short and occur twice a month. So you've really carried a lot, and you've done extraordinarily well. And so we wish you all the best. And member trustee Cortez, board clerk Cortez.
Absolutely. I would not miss this opportunity to thank Paula for her service and, realize you began your service on the Student Governing Board before the pandemic, which seems like a lifetime ago now. And what you weathered with your colleagues was just extraordinary. And it was been a joy to have sort of front row seats in watching you blossom in your leadership. And very grateful for all your contributions and the space that you held. And what you'll take with you out in the world from this. So I'm excited to hear about that too. Don't be a stranger, okay?
All right. With that, we're going to proceed with our agenda, and under item section 8 on the agenda, 801 gives us an opportunity to reorder those 5 items if we wish to do that. Otherwise, we'll proceed in the order that they're published, and I do not hear or see any request to change the order as published. We're going to continue then with item 8.02 regarding the proposed annual update to the local control accountability plan. Did I call on Mr. Superintendent or our associate superintendent?
Well, call on me to ask Teresa, which which item would you like me to open here? But yes,
The revised local, the first
First
one
one?
on the top. Yeah.
as our Lcap process in this process, we present formally the first Lcap on June 6th, and then we receive further input and stakeholder input, and then make any adjustments and present a revised plan for adoption for tonight. So tonight we'll talk a little bit about those adjustments and the current plan, and then we are.
Thank you. Good evening, Board of Trustees, community. Teresa Marquez, Associate Superintendent for Educational Services. So as the superintendent has mentioned, part of the Lcap process is to bring back the local control accountability plan for approval and adoption by the board. The first plan was presented to you on June 6th. And so what I bring to you now is a revised plan, given the feedback that has been gathered and collected via emails to the board that have then been forwarded to us, the administration. And so again, just as a reminder, when we address the Lcap process, it is a mandate as per legislation through the state of California. And so all districts across the board follow this same process. And you could see that what is required of us as part of this 22-23 Lcap cycle is the submission of the Lcap supplement, which did not change from June 6th. That's something that was presented back to you on February. So I want to just make note. There's a number of different items that are posted as part of this agenda items. So I want to make sure that the community is clear as to what exactly is posted. So
I say that sometimes I struggle to keep up with you because you speak a little fast for me. If you could slow down just a little bit, please.
I will try.
Thank you.
So today, can you go back to the first slide, please? So today, as part of the presentation, I'll be bringing forth the revised Lcap. But again, I want to point out that part of the Lcap submission includes the budget overview for parents, which did not change because we have that set amount of our unduplicated account, which is about $20 million. What did change and what you'll see was revised based on changes that we've made will be the total planned expenditures table, the contributing actions tables, but everything that is connected to the school year 21-22 remained the same because those were tables that didn't have an impact on the revised plan that I will be presenting to you. So again, the allocated amount that has been projected for funding specific to the Lcap for increased and improved services for this year is about $20.7 million. And that's what we've been allocated to develop a plan that will address the specified metrics, the goals, and then the action items. And so then we allocate those funds to make sure that we provide supplemental, increased, and improved services for the 3 target populations, which are English learners, foster youth, and low income. Again, just as a reminder, we have a promise of preparing our kids for college and career readiness. And for us, it looks like that graduate profile where our students have those skills of being communicators, critical thinkers, collaborators, creators, community members part with the plan. And more specifically, I know the superintendent is working really hard to ensure that that promise becomes practice, in particular with our Spartan Eastside promise that we have. And so the LCAP will definitely contribute to that. Our goal is to build equitable communities, and the LCAP is the roadmap to do that. And so no one singular item within the LCAP would allow us to just create that. It's a comprehensive plan that, if we hold it to fidelity, can really get us to building these equitable communities. The LCAP is intended to be a systems response. How do we respond across the system to address the needs of our students, and in particular, those 3 target populations that I've mentioned? We're mandated, and it's part of the process that we address 8 priorities as specified by the state. Later today, you'll hear from Kristen King. Part of that LCAP process is also to share with you the local indicators and how we measure each of those priorities. And specifically, she'll pull out the priorities that are local indicators that we measure for ourselves and that we are assessed within our system. The LCAP is a 3-year plan. And so the cycle is that on year 1, you develop the plan and you carry it through with some revisions, some adjustments throughout the 3-year period. And so this would be year 2. The LCAP that I'm presenting to you is year 2 of the 3-year cycle. And the important piece here is that it is a living document, right? And so even when you're creating and adjusting the LCAP, even for this year, some of the prompts ask, what worked, what didn't, what adjustments had to be made, what different metrics are you using if those weren't the correct metrics. And so there's always opportunity within the LCAP, within the prompts that the state provides, for us to be able to really follow the LCAP and then adjust as needed. Again, it was quite extensive in my opinion, in terms of how I engage with our educational partners. But one of the things that I've learned is that as much outreach as I thought I did, it's probably not enough. And there's always room for improvement. So I will completely own that piece of it, that as many as sessions, as many as emails that I sent out asking staff to use classroom time for input, respond to the survey. There's got to be other ways to continue to improve that outreach. So that's one thing I'm committed to make sure that I continue to put different ways to gather input from all our educational partners, staff, students, and parents, and recognizing that that's an item that I will definitely look to improve upon. Just again, this is actually a shift. This was something that from last year I did differently. I went out per CSEA's president's suggestion. Hey, Teresa, go out and visit classified staff sites. And so I went ahead and did that. And you can see the dates that I went and visited in person with classified staff specifically to gather their input on the LCAP. These were the questions that were posed, and you could see I did include them in the 3 languages. Just as a note to our community that we do recognize that we have a Vietnamese speaking community and a Spanish speaking community that we try to reach out to really gather that input. And so the key question that was posed for this particular year was, as we review the current LCAP goals and action items, where is there room for improvement, what's working, and then what's missing? You've seen this before from the last one that hasn't shifted, so I'll go ahead and skip over those and jump right to the goals. So if you can go to slide 16, Mr. Van Duzen. So this goal on college and career readiness, there's nothing different on this one from when I first presented it back in June 6th. So that one has remained the same. Goal 2, our graduation rate, you will see that we removed the action to add a 4th administrator. So I will point out that the dollar amount has shifted. And so where before, when I presented the plan on June 6th, it was about a $5 million total allocation for that. We've removed the 2.25 funding for that particular item. And so this particular plan that I'm presenting to you is with the removal of the 4th administrator. Goal 3 has remained the same. There has been no additions or changes to that one from the June 6th plan. And then goal 4, one of the items, again, based on the feedback through the emails that you've received as board members that have been shared with us, the administration, we've added an item, which is targeted school climate and culture support for Independence High School. And so based on the input and the feedback that was received from the June 6th, we've gone ahead and added a specific targeted item under the goal to establish and sustain healthy school cultures across our school sites. And so in the Lcap, the revised Lcap, what we've added is a new action item, which will allow us to be able to work with Independence High School, work with their district, work with their site administration team, as well as their staff there, to be able to develop a comprehensive plan for ensuring that it is a school climate that is safe, conducive to learning, and that the needs of Independence High School are met. We recognize that as one of our district's largest high schools with a large number of English learners, low-income students, and just the physical environment of the school, we recognize that that can be a bit overwhelming for the students. And so there's a need to target efforts to support those most at need students, which are categorized as our English learners, foster youth, and low-income students, to ensure that they feel welcomed, to ensure that they are afforded the resources and opportunities to find academic, behavior, and social emotional success. And so to ensure that this target student populations feel welcomed and supported to experience success, we're going to work with Independence High School administration and staff to provide services and resources as follows: additional staff to build positive relationships with target student populations and support classroom teachers in establishing Tier 1 behavior expectations and positive interventions for students. Additional staff to maintain a positive physical environment outside of class where students feel connected and supported. Provide Tier 1 mental health, social, emotional, and wellness education and intervention for students. Provide professional development to staff on restorative and trauma-informed practices and embed social emotional learning across all courses. Develop, in partnership with Independence administration and staff, a comprehensive plan for supervision outside of class where coverage is maximized across the physical campus. And leadership coaching for site administration to build capacity specific to procedures, policies, and communication. So this is an item that we've added to goal 4 as part of the Lcap to support the very specific needs at Independence High School, so that we can improve the school climate, safety, and make sure that it's conducive to students finding success and feeling welcomed. Those are the major changes. Goal 5 did not change. And then if we go to goal 6, what you see different is that of the $2.25 million that was originally allocated for under goal 2 for the item with the 4th administrator, we've pulled some of that funding to be able to support that added item for Independence High School. And so we pulled about $441,000 to be able to support Independence. That's just an estimate based of just, average salaries of personnel. And so we've allocated about $441,000 to that additional item specific to supporting Independence High School. The additional funding was placed into goal 6 specifically. So you'll see a huge increase in goal 6 from the previous plan that was shared with you. And we've allocated it. This is a new goal. I remind the board and the community, this is a new goal that we added because we had not met the target metrics for our homeless youth. And so because it is a new one and it is something that we're going to start new, the thinking was that the funding, the best place to put it would be to put it in goal 6 to support the needs of our homeless youth. And so we've increased the allocation for goal 6 from the amount of that was taken from goal 2 of the 4th administrator. So you could see again, the bottom line in terms of the total allocation has not changed. It's still the allocation based on our unduplicated count, which is about $20.7 million. The biggest difference and the biggest changes are the things that I've explained to you. Goal 2 has a different amount because of the removal of action item of the 4th administrator. Goal 4, you'll see an increase because of the added item to support school climate at Independence High School. And then goal 6, you'll see an additional funding added to that goal based on the removal of the $2.25 million from Goal 2. So with that, I'm open to any questions you may have.
We have several requests to speak here, and members of the board, did you want to make comments before we hear from those who wish to speak? And could you just summarize again what has been shifted to what? I know you just went through that, but I want it kind of at the center of any conversation we're going to have now.
Yeah, so the major shifts or the major difference between the June 6th LCAP and the LCAP plan that I'm presenting to you today is Goal 2. I believe it was action number 12, where in the June 6th version, it had the addition of a 4th administrator at
Mhm.
each of our 11 comprehensive high schools. That item has now been removed.
Okay,
The original allocation for that item was $2,250,000 to be able to fund that item. Because we cannot decrease the contributing funding that is allocated to us specifically to increase or improve services for our 3 target populations, we had to shift those dollars into other areas that we have within the LCAP. Of the $2.25 million, $441,312 have gone to the new action item 10 under Goal 4, which is the action item to support school climate at Independence High School. And so we've allocated about 441,000 of those 2.25 million have been shifted to Goal 4 Action 10, which is a new item, which was not included in the June 6th version of the LCAP. The remainder,
excuse me, but that amount of money funds what?
additional staff. I did not want to indicate specifically because I did not want to do it without the input from the Independence High School staff and community. And so we left it open to be able to, in collaboration, partner with the Independence administration and staff to determine what specifically that staff would be.
Okay.
The remainder 1.8 million has been allocated to Goal 6, which is the new goal, which is specifically for the achievement of our homeless youth. And so within each of the items, we've distributed the 1.8 across the action items listed in Goal 6 to support the homeless youth goal. That is a new goal that we added for this upcoming school year.
Okay. Members of the board, any comments, or should we wait to hear from those who wish to address the board? I'm going to begin calling speakers for which I have requests here to speak, and then we'll go to those who are online and are submitting comments or wish to speak online. I'm going to call these in the order in which they were received. I'll begin with Mr. Julio Pardo. And because Mr. Pardo is the president of CSEA, he is accorded up to 5 minutes speaking for one of our bargaining units. Set the clock for 5 minutes.
Good evening, board. Julio Pardo, President, Chapter 187, CSCA. I have to, really, this has been a different year when it comes to the LCAP. First of all, I have to thank Ms. Marquez for actually coming out and talking to some of the classified members that throughout our district. We have 11 comprehensive high schools. She was able to hit 5. I thought maybe she'd probably be lucky to hit 3. So the fact that she was able to go to 5 schools, and talk to different members of my group makes me feel pretty good. I'm hoping that in the future, we might be able to continue it.
When you turned away from the microphone, the people
I
online
understand
can't
that.
hear
So I'm
you.
hoping she might be able to continue it, but I did want to let her know that directly. So one thing that did upset us, and I have to be honest, was the fact that when we first saw this LCAP, we saw the addition of that 4th administrator. I know Esther was a little upset with it, but I'm not speaking for them. I'm speaking for CSCA. Once I presented this to my colleagues and to the members of my group, I heard all types of complaints. And the biggest complaint, of course, was the fact that, as I've mentioned to the board before, since the Great Recession, we have had a number of positions that have never been filled A lot of people have had to take on extra duties, and they have been asking for relief and having extra people added on to help them with those jobs. The fact that administration needs help, I'm not denying that. As I said before, I know at one time we did have a fourth administrator at some sites that did do more work. But once everything was cut, it just seemed to us that we've been waiting for 12 years to have some positions filled. And what I heard earlier was that the administration has been asking for the last, I'm sure that's more than that, but at least really pressing for the last 4 years. I can understand that. But our people have been really, we feel we've had a lot of work on our backs and help support this district through the years when things were lean. So the fact that I know that when I come up here many times, I am heard by the board, but it feels good to know that this time I felt like I was listened to. And that's what counts more than anything. So I wish to thank the administration for listening to us, possibly listening to, I'm sure Esther had something to say, and possibly listening to them, making the changes. The one thing I'm happy about, yes, I know Independence needs help. We know there's some issues over there. But what really makes me feel good is to see that money put into the homeless. As a younger person, I wish I had been around when I was a student because my family could have sure used that for a while. But at least now you are putting the money into it to help these students who need the most help. We've seen the data on them. They need the most help in this district. So I'm hoping that that money is used wisely so that those students can share in the benefits that all of our students share in this district. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Parker, the next person to speak is Martin Brandt. You'll pass? Okay. The next one is Virginia. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Engel finger, something like that. Right. And you have up to 2 minutes. Speak into the microphone, please, and make sure it's on. I don't think it's on.
It's on. Oh, yay. Okay, hi. So if you can give me start it over, please. Hi, I'm Jenna, bless you. I'm Jenna Engelfinger. I work at Independence High School as a multimedia 1 through 3 teacher, as well as the VP of the site union. I am here to urge you to hire additional advisors and SROs at Independence and other sites who are experiencing an extraordinary increase in violence, including Mount Pleasant and Overfelt, and other sites are also experiencing some serious issues. I recently sent you an article entitled "San Jose's Low-Income Schools See a Large Share of Police Calls," which exemplified what our site had endured this past 21-22 school year. San Jose Spotlight analyzed 5 years worth of calls for service data to determine the top most visited campuses from 16 to 21. Independence is at the top of the list as making the most calls, a total of 512. This should absolutely warrant the hiring of more SROs and advisors. Evergreen Valley High School and Independence are roughly the same size, student populations as well, and they're mainly minority ethnicities. But Independence, which has roughly 3 times as many students living in poverty as Evergreen, had twice as many service calls according to the analysis. This confirms how income inequality and poverty disproportionately impact our East Side communities and schools. I have seen directly how it's impacted the physical and mental well-being of our students and staff. We are struggling at Independence, and I know it's only going to escalate if we don't put in place much needed interventions. We as a staff, advisors, teachers, social workers, counselors, custodians, gardeners, administration haven't been able to de-escalate the extreme violence at our site. We aren't equipped with the necessary training and tools to mitigate violent altercations, weapons on campus, robberies, trespassers, firework explosions, vandalism, and school shooting threats, which actually instigated my participation in this movement for safety at our site. In the almost 20 years I've worked at Indy, I have seen what does work, and that is direct contact with police officers and advisors coupled with mental health services. SROs do the work certificated, classified, and administrative workers are not trained to do. I do understand why we should hire SROs over police
Please bring your
officers.
comments to an end. Your time is
Of
up.
course, and that there should be an MOU which dictates what they can and cannot do. This provides that equity and safeguards our most vulnerable communities, our Black and Brown students.
Thank
And
you.
lastly, I just want to say, please expedite any and all interventions, including SROs, before the start of the school year for the sake of our students and staff.
Thank you very much. Your
Before
time
someone
has expired.
before someone dies.
Okay,
Please.
thank you. Next is Lisa Baker.
Good evening. So my name is Lisa Baker, student advisor at Independence High School. And first of all, I'm gonna kind of go off script because I didn't know what to write. But I want to thank you for listening to all the sites because I know it wasn't just Independence. The implementation of another administrator, I'm sure some sites really do need them, but I think we need to step back and we need to come up with a formula. And we need to do it with the union, the district, the leadership, the board. We have class sizes. We also have case managers, numbers for counselors. We should do the same thing for principals and admin. Why would a school of 900 need 4 administrators? Why would a school of 1,300 need 4 administrators? We have schools all over the map. Let's try to come up with a formula to be fair and equitable. I have friends that are administrators and some of them are really struggling. They are overworked and I love my friends, so I want them taken care of. But at the same time, let's not just do it, let's do it right. The one size fits all, we've been saying it over and over, isn't working anymore. And then bring all the people at each site together that care and let them decide what they need for their site. Some sites say, we don't need SROs. Obviously, you know, we say we do. Let the sites decide what works for them and put everyone together at the site. And then we can bring the sites together as a big group. That's my idea. That instead of just bringing us all together, let each site do its thing, come up with some type of plan. I think that's the most reasonable, logical way to do it. So anyway, thank you all. And hopefully I don't have to keep coming to all these board meetings.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next person is Nedra. Okay. Please state your name for the record. I've been forgetting to say that to people.
Nedra Zausch.
You are.
And I am a teacher at Independence High School.
Thank you.
I'm also the AVID coordinator there at the site. Thank you for having me, allowing me to come and talk to you. I'm here this evening to talk to you guys about getting things done in terms of safety at Independence High School. There are 3 things that I want to talk about. First, assign more advisors and SROs to Independence High School. 2, we must create healthy boundaries because this is getting out of hand. We had a man on campus with an axe wielding it. Really? Come on now. In this day and age, we can do better. Number 3, staff and students need a safer plan, just like Baker said. It is not in our best interest in this community to continue to leave us vulnerable to violence and what is supposed to be a safe place for learning. I've been there at almost 18 years, and I'm sure you're well aware of what's been going on, but I'm going to give you feedback from what I hear from students and parents that is very important. Parents are fearing sending their kids to Independence High School. I hear it all the time. They do not feel safe. Some students who even hear stuff on social media, they stay home. Students do their best not to use the restrooms because they feel like they're going to be attacked. They go in pairs. Promising and caring teachers that are very young, I've already had 2 leave from my team.
Please watch your time.
Students do not stay in after school programs because their parents feel like they're going to be attacked. So my advice, are we going to play Russian roulette or are we going to get things done? Thank you.
Very much. Next is Deb Yelverton on behalf of Harriet Garcia, who could not be here in person. And again, state your name for the record.
I'm Deb Yelverton
Okay, speak into the
I
microphone,
teach
please, for
English.
the online audience.
at Independence High School. Am I too tall? It's green. Yeah, now I'm okay. And I have a long, thanks. I have a long missive that was written by Harriet Garcia, also an English teacher at Independence.
It can't all be read in 2
I
minutes.
am, and I am. Okay, and I'm changing the whole thing. Because my colleagues have established exactly what's necessary. And it's been reiterated. I sent you voluminous readings on school safety plans and creating plans. That's something I think that we definitely can work together on. And as I sat there, I thought I have to change this because I must speak to you and express the gratitude that I feel for your having listened to us and a cautious optimism. I really do feel it is extremely important that we establish not only equity, but accessibility for all of our students. And that doesn't mean a one-size-fits-all approach. So thank you, Teresa. I had no idea what was coming. I appreciate it. And I will continue to participate on our ad hoc committee. We have a title now, and work as best we can to establish the best possible plan for the safety of our staff and our students. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Susan Inche? Okay, you're going to pass on it. Those are the ones I have here, and I will go to Mary Gillen for those who are submitting comments online. Afterwards, to those who want to speak online directly.
Public comment from Michael Wood, staff member. I want to say thank you to Teresa for the hard work towards getting the information for the LCAP from students, staff, and parents. My hope is that this funding will help us move to having greater use of restorative practices on every campus in the East Side, interwoven into their larger MTSS structures. Staff training, a dedicated staff member at each site, and commitment to the model to fidelity with staff peer support would put East Side ahead of many school districts as leaders in using equitable practices. Public comment from staff member Alberto Camacho. The LCAP funds should be invested into the betterment of our youth. Let us use that money for mental health, for tutoring after school and paying those kids who tutor, for classroom supplies, for a community closest closet or a community garden, to something that the kids would be eager to use or eager to do. What are things we wished had at school that we couldn't get because of funds? Let's create something beautiful with that money. Public comment from, hold on a second, let me flip it here. From Ava Chow, staff, science teacher at Independence High School. Dear board members, Superintendent Bandersy, Associate Superintendent Marquez, and Principal Berg. I just finished my summer mini session where 21 out of 23 students raised their failing grades to passing grades. Even if I am exhausted, I'm still looking forward to teaching our students in August of 2022. This letter addresses the safety issues at Independence. This is an excerpt from my more detailed letter I sent to your email. We do not need another admin. Safety is a multifaceted issue, so there are more than a few proposals. We also need more social workers, more advisors, tools to ensure doors are properly secured during a lockdown, a system for emergency communication between staff members, a health class, a closed campus, visitor badges / visible student IDs, and how can we increase our relationships with the community? Our advisors and social workers are on the front working with student behavior and work on building those relationships. Please support them and our Indy school safety team suggestions. In a lockdown, teachers need a way to properly secondarily secure doors, either with handles or push bars in addition to a door lock. What about a communication system in an emergency? A health class can bring more equity skills. How to our students through learning better communication skills, conflict resolution training, maintaining a nutritional diet, driver's education, comprehensive sexual health, drugs and alcohol. Closed campus is fencing all around and gates that close during school hours. The only way is through the office that has a check-in process that clearly labels visitors. Better student support system that is more efficient than sitting through long email threads for teachers, counselors, and admin to communicate with each other regarding a student. How can we build better relationships with our parents and community? Thank you for reading Suggestions to Make Independence Safer. Public comment from staff member Joanna Shea. This is Joanna Shea of Independence High School. I have been teaching chemistry at Independence High School for 24 years. I am currently traveling and cannot attend this board meeting. This is the third time I am expressing my concerns about school safety at Independence High School. We have been discussing school safety for several months this year, but there is no definite plan to ensure school safety for the coming year. I'm sure that everyone has heard enough of vandalism of cars, bathrooms, school properties, fights, bomb threats, campus intruders. Students acted aggressively towards staff, and downtown College Prep charter students harassing Independence High School staff and disturbing instruction throughout the year. The current LCAP proposal has not addressed anything about the number one concern of staff and students, which is campus safety. We cannot start school with an attitude of wait and see what will happen. We need to use a proactive approach to ensure safety of all staff and students. The district and school sites should hold all students accountable for their actions. We can hire brown and black student resource officers to eliminate the fears of students being discriminated against. My colleagues will share with you more constructive proposals. Thank you for your time. Public comment from staff member Jennifer Black. Identifying students for intervention, especially students who don't attend classes, is important, and schools do need more personnel for this issue. But a fourth administrator is not the best method to accomplish the goal. Maybe we need more advisors, monitors, and MPSS coordinators to support the APA, but those people don't need an admin credential. Also, part of the problem with campus climate this year has been the administrators felt their hands were tied in terms of providing consequences. So would having another person with the same limited options even help? On a related issue, according to board policy 5144.1, the superintendent is supposed to develop a program of on-campus suspension. Such a program seems an appropriate consequence in lieu of off-campus suspension in some cases. Rather than a fourth administrator, I would like an on-campus suspension program run by a social worker who can also implement restorative justice for situations where suspension is not warranted. Public comment from staff member Jessica Gutierrez. My name is Jessica Gutierrez and I am an educator at James Lick. I'm asking that the district offer additional opportunities to provide more feedback on the LCAP. I do not believe that adding a fourth administrator to each school site is the most effective use of funds at our campuses. As we prepare for more budget cuts and reductions, it's vital for us to consider where our money is going and how that is best serving our students. These funds should go to student support such as additional mental health services, nurses, and librarians at every school site, transportation and uniform for athletes, advancement of the arts program, and or hiring of a restorative practices TOSA at each site instead. Please do not approve the adopted current LCAP plan. That is the end of public comment online for agenda item 802.
So are there any other requests to speak online?
There are no other requests to speak.
Come back to the board, and I know that this is a time for us to ask questions or make
Correct.
comments, but I'm going to actually recognize Trustee Cortese, who has a presentation, so it's going to take a few minutes, but she would like to offer some.
Thank you. I don't know if I'd call it a presentation, but maybe I just prepared some thoughts because I have spent many hours talking to people about this, having conversations, reading and responding to emails. And so I wanted to just share what I gathered, and my reflection, and just bring that forward to this moment. And as I was reflecting on, what we've been talking about here around the LCAP and what we're trying to achieve, I was reminded of a time when I was fairly new on the board. And I went out to one of our sites and met with the principal there. And she told me about an exercise that she did with her staff. She said, we took the name of every student in our school and put it on a 3x5 card. And then we taped those all around the walls of the gym. And then I gave my staff little sticky dots. And we brought them in the gym and they walked around and she said, put a dot on every card of the student you have a relationship with. And at the end of that exercise, they went around and collected all the cards with no dots. When I heard about that, I was really moved. And I was so proud that this is a district that has that kind of attention on students with that kind of a need. And I asked the superintendent just a couple days ago, like, if we bring this person in, this, administrator, that's what we were contemplating at the time. Could that be their focus? The kids with no dots on their card, could that be the focus? And he said, yes, but today it's not a 3x5 card. Today it's an application called Illuminate. And I got to have a little demo of Illuminate. It's amazing. And I would ask if we could, later, I guess at the end, when we ask for presentations, could the board see a little more about Illuminate? Because I think it's an amazing
You're saying the
resource.
name of the app so fast, I'm not getting it.
Illuminate,
Illuminate.
Illuminate. Mhm. Yeah. So Illuminate, just quickly for my colleagues, as I understand it, is an application that works with our existing system. So no one is doing extra work or extra data entry. It just gathers the information that's already there and it assigns values to certain issues that are a little a flag or a concern. So for example, if a student is getting a D in a course, they get a certain number of points for that. What is it, like 2 points for a D?
Yeah, actually, Kristen King, our director who's going to be presented with later, she created the reports. And so there is a point system, a value that's added to a D, an F, attendance, behavior, so that you can get the
For
students.
referrals, all kinds of things,
Correct,
right?
correct.
So basically the point is that I was just going to give an example, like 2 points for a D, 6 points for an F. So you can see that if a student is gravely at risk, they've got multiple Fs or Ds, they've got behavior referrals or attendance issues, that a lot of points can accrue on this system, which then allows you to sort and see who are the students that are most at risk of disengaging from school. When I heard about that, I thought, as a board member, we need someone to ensure that each of those students has an impactful relationship with at least one caring adult in our system. And you know what? Of all the people that I spoke to and that wrote into me, I don't believe anyone would disagree with that. And I don't believe anyone on this dais would disagree with that. And I look at what we have talked about or what we're about as a board. Our mission statement says each student graduates prepared for college and career, empowered to transform their lives and thrive in a global society. It doesn't say most, it says each one. We have a 2017 board resolution declaring Eastside Union High School District relationship-centered schools. We have our equitable community statements where all students are welcome as they are, all of them, right? That we know their strengths and areas of growth, and we support them, and we positively respond to their social, emotional wellness and academic needs of each one. And then I go to the data. Okay, so we know that for students who are here for all 720 days of school, like they start with us the first day of their freshman year, and they're with us all the way to the last day of their senior year, like 95% or more graduate across all demographic groups, right? But the students who move, come into our system, participate less than 720 days, if they move even once, that success rate drops and it drops exponentially for each time that they move And we've had a presentation on this, and the data is very clear about this. So in general, who are those kids who move? ELL kids, people who come here from a country where they speak another language. Low-income students who have possibly unstable housing situation, foster youth, homeless youth. So these are precisely the kids that our LCAP is designed to serve, those extra funds in our LCAP. So earlier I said that one person needs to ensure all students have an impactful relationship with a caring adult, but not that one person would necessarily provide those impactful relationships to each student. You know, the ones with no dot on their card, right? So in my view, I believe an administrator has the best access to the depth and breadth of a student's experience and existing relationships and resources, meaning they have access to the parents, the counselors, the social workers, the teachers, the coaches, the student's history, plus the institutional accountability to do that. Institutional accountability, meaning we can hold that person accountable for doing that. You know, in one of the conversations I had with a teacher, brought up a very, very good and important point. You know, he said, let me give you an example of a student I have in my class. So this student has a lot of challenges. He's a foster youth that had been in many foster home situations. He's got an IEP for mental health issues. He's highly disengaged, spends most of the time on his phone in class. And the teacher says, you know, I try to spend time with him, but I have 30 plus other kids times 5. And you know what? I get it. But having someone who that teacher could say, I'm shooting up a flare and this student needs some extra attention. This student needs some extra support beyond my classroom. And someone who could be accountable for getting that support, a one-stop person. So the teacher doesn't probably also have the time to figure out which meaningful adult relationship this student should get, right? We need someone outside the classroom to be able to do that. We also need for this and all students, a vision of the future, right? I was part of a youth mentoring program, which is the reason that was my journey to get on this board. And we used to say, youth take action based on the future they see for themselves. You know, and some kids, if you ask them, what do they see for their future? They don't see anything. Some kids tell me, I didn't think I'd live past 18 years old. We even talk about that in our graduate profile, that our kids will leave here powered with a plan, right? And I'm reminded of a partnership we had a couple of years ago with another mentoring program called iMentor. And I've loved the way that iMentor operated because well, first of all, they were like a tier 1 intervention. The school that they operated on, they were there for every single student in the junior and senior year. But they worked with kids to create a vision for their future. They just ask reflective questions and have the kids write and work with their mentor to come up with a vision for their life. And what kind of life do you want to have? And from there, well, what kind of career would support that kind of life that you want? And from there, what kind of education do you need to support that kind of career? And from there, what kind of school would provide you that education? And from there, what do I need to be doing today to give me access to that school? So I think that's the kind of support that all of our students need, but especially those who are struggling. And knowing that support is not only available, but accessible can help teachers too. So this isn't just about our students, it's about teachers being able to do what they do best. And it's also not about pitting one group against another. So, and it's also not about reducing workload. I think if anything, adding this resource, whether it's an administrator or another role, would increase my expectations about the workload. So in short, well, not in short, it's too late to be in short, but I'm committed as a board member, and I'm confident the rest of my board colleagues are too, committed that every student in this district has an impactful relationship with at least one caring adult, and that they are supported in creating a vision for their future that is worth living into. Because how else do you do the hard work of getting caught up in school or getting yourself to class when you've got whatever kind of trauma you've got going on at home or whatever kind of thing going on in your neighborhood that makes it really hard to get to school? You got to have a big, exciting future to make it worth doing that, okay? And if you haven't been exposed to too many possibilities, it might take someone who has another point of view to help you see something new, okay? So that's what I'm committed to. I'm not necessarily committed to how it happens, but I'm asking that it happens and that you all work together to figure out how that happens. Like I said, it seems to me like an administrator would be a good fit for that. And we've taken it out of the Lcap, so it's not something that we have to figure out today. We have time to collaborate, to work together to figure out, but that's what I'm asking, that we find a way to provide that for each of our students, especially those that are struggling the most.
Thank you, Member Cortez, Board Clerk Cortez, and members of the board, other comments? Yes, Steve, right?
I want to say that I appreciate Administrator, especially Teresa Marcus, as well as Superintendent Glenn Vanderzee, took a lot of time and listened to all stakeholders and revised the LCAP. And I know that is not an easy decision. We were bombarded by so many emails from different stakeholders. We heard all of you, and I appreciate the time that I spoke with representative from ACE, Jenny Davis and Vito Kiala. I understood how important of each role of administrator, teachers, staff, but we really pay attention and we listen to all stakeholder. And my takeaway in here is, appreciate that. And we're looking forward, many more collaboration to work, and so we can support our student. And I'm glad that we have the funding to support the homeless students, as well as the target school climate for independence. So that's what I really want to say tonight, and that's all I have.
Before proceeding with any other board comments, we do have an online comment that has come in, and Mary Gillen, could you share that?
Public comment from staff member Bill Logan. Dear members of the board, Superintendent Vanderzee and Assistant Superintendent Marquez, thank you very much for both hearing and honoring our plea for district assistance and oversight of the complex safety security issues facing the students and staff of Independence High School. In particular, your addition to LCAP item number 4, behavioral response, action item number 10 is very much appreciated. The safety and security issues at Independence High School has to be placed as a district priority. Vagrants, community members, dogs, alumni, students, expelled students, gang members, military recruiters, people posing as military recruiters, anyone can walk right onto the Independence campus and create havoc, damage, and violence, and they have. This is an issue that requires swift action from district officials, construction managers, administrators, students, and staff. In the meantime, the swiftest and safest option to avoiding impending violence at Independence would be the hiring of a school resource officer. SROs can easily be managed by this district to ensure district policy and best practices are prioritized. SROs do not have to be in uniform, carry a weapon, or wear a badge. And as someone whose own family are retired and current police officers, the right SROs can provide inspiration in the community. SJPD is practicing some of the most progressive police work in the nation, and an SRO ensures that a direct line of communication between SJPD and Independence High School is consistent and swift. We must protect our students. We must protect our staff. Why not attempt a 2-year SRO pilot program? This will address urgent safety concerns on campus. This will ensure adequate and fair discussions to evaluate data. And this will provide the district with 2 years to come up with a grander plan to ensure safety at Independence High School. Thank you for your time. Bill Logan, Activities Director, Independence High School.
Very much.
I have a comment.
Member Chavez, Vice President Chavez,
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna try not to sound redundant.
get that microphone. pointed towards
Yeah.
you.
Okay, hopefully I remember everything. I feel like I remember something and then I forget. Anyway, I want to start off with just expressing my gratitude for the administration in this whole process. This has been a different process in many ways, even though it has been also very similar, right? Because we've gone through the LCAP process year after year. I also want to ground us on what the LCAP is. The LCAP is set to support certain subgroups of students, like our foster youth, our ELLs, our homeless youth. And even knowing that the focus is on these subgroups of students that are our highest needs, the administration was very creative in thinking, how do we support not just these students, but all of our students, right? And I appreciate that lens, because as much as we can leverage that, the better, because we have so much work to do. The initial plan was that fourth administrator. I could see that. I was a principal once upon a time, right? So I saw that. And after getting all the feedback, the administration said, we're going to figure it out. We're going to still continue doing this work, whichever way it is, but we did it in a way that hurt everybody, and very, very thoughtful. The way that the monies are set for goal 6, I think it also really sets us up, right? And in the process, I still heard people say, let's continue these conversations about different ways to continue building the supports at our schools, whether it's through that additional administrator or additional supports, trainings, whatever it is. And throughout all of this, I've heard all of that come up, right? So coming out of today, sure, our plan looks different. And I feel like that the conversation of figuring out all the ways to support our students at all the layers is open, right? And I am committed to continuing that conversation with everybody, right? So that we can get our students from the LCAP and others that are not captured in that LCAP that still need a lot of support to move them forward. But I know that this wasn't easy. So for anybody. So I just want to say thank you. And thank you, Teresa, for like being able to move quickly in between our meetings and just being responsive, right? That is not easy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the ongoing work.
Member Doe. Speak into your microphone.
I didn't request, but since you give me the opportunity, I will take the opportunity to thank the administrations for the attention that you've been giving to helping Independent High School manage some of the safety concern. So I appreciate and grateful for that. Thank you.
I'm going to also offer a comment. I really do appreciate Superintendent Vanderzee and Associate Superintendent Marquez for the faithfulness with which they have worked with the board and with stakeholders. I have to say that in my 32 years on the board and based on formal training in public policy and a lot of experience in public institutions and organizations, that I've not seen a team of the caliber of Glenn Vanderzee and Teresa Marquez. We have lucked out. I will match them to anyone in the nation. This is a time of great opportunity for the district to advance, for us to accomplish goals that have been elusive. They represent a depth of experience, a lot of heart, and a discernment as executive leaders for calibrating so many things. And this is just one example that between the June 5th meeting and now the June 23rd meeting, under their stewardship, they're listening, they're integrating, we're all learning together. The proposition of an additional administrator, for me, is still very much alive. Why? Because these two individuals, with their wealth of experience and their great heart, made it a judgment call that we can advance this organization net with a specific level of investment in this specific place in the whole organization, which is not to say that there isn't great need in other areas of the organization. So the conversation yet to come will be not so much about need, because there's need everywhere, but rather about priority. You know, what is a priority investment now if we're going to move this organization forward in a solid way? And is there a case that says, all factors considered, an additional administrator, maybe as others have suggested, not one size fits all, but we'll get there to that conversation. You know, that an additional administrator net could be the smartest incremental investment, and then a strategy for how else we address other areas of the organization that also need an investment. I'm open to that conversation. I welcome that conversation. And again, because I really believe in this team. I really believe in Superintendent Vanderzee and Associate Superintendent Marquez and the rest of our team, associates, what have you. This is a time to really take advantage of working together, listening to each other, learning from each other, and making some progress over the next few years. I'm excited that even though this is my 32nd year on the board, folks, I don't know if you can really get, we are at such an opportune moment. I haven't seen this level of leadership in my 32 years on the board. So thank you for being here tonight, to all of our stakeholders. Thank you for all of the comments that come in person and online and over email and text messages and phone calls and one-on-one conversations. We are a district that hears each other. Going forward, I am really encouraging the administration to, develop their case more fully and bring this organization into a process that is deliberative, that is transparent, and that is substantiated with what the case is. And so thank you again to everyone. And the administration,
Well, first of all, thank you for that, and thank you for everybody here. And then also for the emails that we've been receiving and a lot of the input. What's a really wise thing as a first year superintendent is to say, I want to add an admin, right? Like, but we have not for 20 years. And then that's part of why the demands on our system have grown. I appreciate the notion of institutional accountability and being able to really find that level of accountability, make sure that our systems are operating so that our students are known. They're welcomed and they're known for their strengths and their areas of growth, and that we know how to positively respond. I know this is one moment in time, but I just also want to just say that as a district, I'm proud that we've moved our counseling ratio below 430 as we intended, that we added social workers, 11 social workers, which isn't always a popular thing to do. Why is the district providing mental health services? Our students need them. In no ways would I ever consider adding 11 social workers. That was a decrease in the workload of the pre-existing 16. No way. There's just too much need for us not to address it. I stand in front of this group and in front of the district and saying, yeah, I don't want to be shy. I don't want to be shy about suggesting the work that an admin could do. And I want to thank you for some of the emails that I've received and to the board that I could see a shift. And to not just a flat no, which was kind of early, to how can we talk this out? How would we align it with other services? We talk about what are the different needs at the different sites, and how do we work that out to provide that service? So I hear that need for our students to be known, absolutely. Do we all play different roles in that? Absolutely. But as a current district administrator and a formal site principal, I can't not see that the work of a site level admin in many parts of our system that there are needs that they can uniquely address. And so we're very interested in continuing to do this work. And I, like I say, appreciate the input. And it's just not just like make the case for admin. It's like, let's make that plan that's going to reach our students. So we're going to continue to work for that.
Yeah,
There's some ickiness about LCAP about when it's presented on June 6th and the May revise is, are the monies there? And then a June 23rd that I really wish could just we lobby with the state to move it up a month or two. That would be fantastic.
yeah.
So we'll just have to be just very intentional about this work going forward and just cognizant of some of those time constraints.
And I
Thanks to all of you.
I appreciate too the comments made by trustee Cortese and kind of broadening the framework or just putting it center because it's there. That the ultimate goal really is to affect the lives of our students most in need, to bring resources to them, and that it's potentially significant to add an administrator in exactly that context, but the case remains to be made. And there's more information and data that is needed, and there's a transparent process that is needed in that conversation. So again, thank you to everyone. Thank you, Associate Superintendent Marquez. I think we're concluded with this item on the agenda. Do we need to take a vote on this?
You
matter?
do, yes. So
Okay.
the recommendation from the district administration is to approve and adopt the plan as presented with the revisions that were presented to you.
Move
this
for
evening.
approval.
Moved by member Doe, seconded by member Lay. If there's no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Oops, excuse me, our student representative, how do you vote?
Yeah, I too don't want to be redundant, but I just want to like really, if you talk to anyone, our student governing board member, if you go to any one of our school sites, you will see that there is a need for mental health resources. It is something that has been reiterated for students for so long and something that so much of us need for, various different reasons. And so the fact that there's going to be a plan put forward to not only help all students with more mental health resources, but also target specifically our homeless students is something I really appreciate as a low income first generation student, because it just shows how we're investing and we're targeting, we're being very intentional with how we move forward. And I really hope that with these resources in place, we see improvements in not only graduation rates, but how students feel on our campuses, that they feel that community and sense of belonging that I think has been a lot of students have been so isolated from for a while, especially given the pandemic. I also want to thank you, Ms. Marquez. I can tell how hard you've been working on this, how much you come to our student governing board meetings and talk to us, and just all your hard work that you have shown throughout the year and beyond.
Congratulations to you, Paula. We're gonna miss you.
Thank
And just
you.
one last, I would be remiss, but Sylvia Pelayo, who does the budgeting and just tons of appreciations to her, because as I'm shifting the LCAP, she's having to
Appreciation
shift.
to who?
Sylvia Pelayo,
Okay.
as I'm shifting the LCAP items, she's having to shift the budget situations and recreating all those tables. So just great appreciation and gratitude to Sylvia and just her responsiveness as we were working on these shifts.
We're taking a vote, member. How do you vote, student government?
I vote yes.
Okay, she votes yes. Members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, it passes unanimously. Thank you, and we're moving on to item 8.03 regarding general funds as committed fund balance for fiscal solvency. And that would be our interim associate superintendent, Mr. Ron Willingham.
Good evening. I'm Ron Wheatlahan, the interim associate superintendent of business. So the first item I have tonight is the resolution regarding our fund balance and committing certain funds. So this is a new item. I haven't done this. The board hasn't heard this before. If you'll recall, in 2012, when we started the LCFF, the state of California said, if we ever put money into our reserve rainy day fund, school boards can no longer sit on any fund balance over 10%. So that was 10 years ago. We didn't think it would happen, but this is the year it happened with all the funding that the state has. So we're asking to commit $31.7 million, $31.27 million is committed to be reserved for fiscal solvency and to mitigate declining enrollment. And that is what this resolution is about. I believe, I don't know if you want to put that up. So staff recommends that you approve the resolution, or if you have any questions about.
Moved by Cortese,
Second.
second by Chavez. If there is no discussion, I'm going to ask our student board representative, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you, and members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, it passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
You're welcome.
Item 8.04, proposed budget for 2022-2023, Mr. Williams.
Yes, the proposed budget, we're asking tonight for you to adopt the budget. I also would like to thank Ms. Sylvia Palaio for all of her help to get our budget book together. So where we're at, thank you for the 8 months that I've been with you. We've put one budget to bed. We put 20, the year that no kids came to school. We've had the final office. I've come to report you this current year. And now I'm bringing forward next year's budget. We've got all of the expenses in here. The questions now is around revenue. So today we're asking to adopt the budget. And we're down right now with a two-way negotiation between the governor and the legislature. The legislation brought forward their budget on time on, I believe it was the 13th, and their deadline was the 15th. If they didn't, of course, they wouldn't get paid. So they got that through. So now we're just on a two-way negotiation between the governor and the legislature. So hopefully the governor will sign the budget on time on July 1st. Folks, that's 1 week from tomorrow. We're off and running on a new fiscal year on this budget. And it looks to be fiscally a very favorable year. And what I'd like to go over tonight is the difference between the governor's budget and the legislator's budget. So next slide, please. So I use the logo of both the Assembly and the Senate have come together, and their proposal is not the 6.56% on the COLA. They're bringing forward a 16% plus, putting all of it on the COLA and not splitting it off into other buckets. They're also rejecting one of the governor's proposal, and I'll show you in a minute on that as far as fixing this year, but they are on board with the governor to fix an averaging system for ADA. And also they want to change the definition of a low-income student from 125% of the poverty level up to 250. So that would also change our funding levels if this indeed comes through, where we change the income level for our students. And next slide,
Can I
please.
ask a question on that?
Sure.
Can you go back to the slide?
Yeah.
So for the second bullet point, adopt one of the declining enrollment projections average of 3 years. Is that like optional for districts? So I know we've had declining enrollment. And so this is like given our current enrollment, we'd have higher enrollment if we were to like average it out. So the numbers end up better. But for other districts that have higher enrollment, is that, how is that? Because I know a question on the table was like how to support districts across the board,
Right.
right? Regardless of where they were at.
So for districts, let's say you're out in the Central Valley where enrollment is going up, where they're building schools, and they would be able to take the higher enrollment. But for districts that have declining enrollment, we would be able to average and take the higher. So
It's optional.
yeah,
Option
it
for
would
the
be
district.
optional for them. They would not have to average.
God, okay, so that's the middle ground that okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that next slide, please. So the legislature actually offered a higher amount on the discretionary block grant. We had budgeted about $30 million on that. So we're waiting to see. We may even have additional one-time funds with that proposal. They also agreed on college and career readiness, approving $700 million in initiatives for that. Slide, please. They agreed with the governor, kind of collapsed his art, music, instructional materials, and library block grants into one grant. So this is a very exciting thing for students for That money went away a long time ago for arts, music, and libraries. So they're bringing that back. They agree on the universal meals proposal to pay for the providing 2 meals a day for every student that wants one. So that's good news for us. We had projected a deficit in our cafeteria, our food service program. So this will be good news there. They also have come to some agreement around home to school transportation. And I've talked about how the proposals out there to bus all students for high school 1.5 miles or more, going back to the busing system to bring students in because of COVID, try to get our ADA up by actually providing funding for buses. And then there's also some green buses. So we probably will be seeing grants for electric buses. And so that's exciting. Next slide, please. This is our where we think we're going to end up in the current year. So the amount is on the far right of our combined restricted, unrestricted. We anticipate this year of only a $7 million deficit and ending up with a $56 million fund balance. As you can see, that puts us at 13.45%. And this is where current year we can be over, but next year we can't be over 10%. That was the previous resolution I just asked you to do, is let's commit those funds for future hard times to mitigate layoffs and mitigate enrollment decline. So this is where we think we're going to end up for 21-22. And this is the slide that I had done before. So the legislative proposals where I have the red X, they are not agreeing on the proposal of fixing this year by taking your enrollment and multiplying it by a attendance factor. So they're not on board with the governor's proposal. They are on board the green check. They do agree with let's go ahead and have a rolling average and fix the decline in enrollment and help out districts for a softer landing. So we're still hoping that they both go through, because then, as you can see, our 3-year average would be the red X, which is not in the current year plus one more. If we lose that red X, that fix, we're going to have to go back to this year's enrollment. So both scenarios are good, but one of them is better. We'll have to find out where the agreement goes on. So the negotiations are going on with the governor. There's a lot of other things going on at the state level. They're talking about giving everyone a couple $100 in your mailbox, or addressing other needs of the state. So we'll see where we end up with our ADA fixes. So this is the same multi-year that we had before. This is anticipating the block grant of 30 million in years 2 and 3. And again, we just have to stay tuned on what the ongoing LCFF amount is. Next slide. So tonight we're adopting the budget, and the Lcap has already been adopted. Governor signed the budget bill by July 1. Then we wait for the trailer bill. I think it's called SB 154 or something like that. Hopefully we'll get that out, sometimes the first couple of weeks of July. If you recall, the trailer bill was pretty late. I think last year we were dealing with independent study, and that came at the last minute, so anyways, we'll see how that happens when we get the budget bill. And then 45 days after that, my recommendation is we do a budget update and we get all of the new revenue that's come in. We have the expenses. We know where we're going. We're setting sail next Friday, but we need to get the revenue side firmed up with the budget bill. So that's where we are with the state budget and the adopted budget. If there's any questions.
Okay, members of the board, questions, comments, or a motion for approval? Moved by Doe and seconded by Chavez. If there is no further discussion.
I have just a comment. I just want to thank Ron Wheelahan for coming to our rescue this year. I don't know that you had any idea that you'd still be standing here in June presenting our final budget, but you really saved us this year, and I'm really grateful for your willingness to step in and do that for us.
All we ask is that you use your superpowers to bend the rules and stay on, okay?
Well, I'll see what we can do.
Oh, that's
and-
very
Oh,
encouraging.
did I say? And again, this
Careful,
is-
Ron.
You've faced some challenge, and I think you've all kind of summed up, and you're getting, things are moving forward. The money helps, but you're doing the best you can. A lot of good things for kids, a lot of challenges with, the campus environment, and you'll get it solved. And yeah, thank you for all your hard work.
All
and
you have to
this.
do is give up some of your benefits in order to continue serving us. right?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty complicated, but anyway, thank you
Okay.
very much. And
Thank you.
I've enjoyed working with you all. Yeah.
Thank you, Ron. Really
Okay.
appreciate your hard
You're
work.
you're welcome. All right,
Thank you. And
thanks.
again, there's a motion by Doe and second by Chavez, and then student board member, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you. And members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It passes unanimously. Thank you. And we're moving on to,
Board President, if I can make a comment, I'd also like to thank Ron for stepping in, and I'd like to thank Sylvia again. And sometimes Sylvia doesn't like, could you wave or something so we know it's you? Like, the work that team has been doing over the last couple of years and the adjustments and staying creative, but making sure that we're accurate and we're solvent and doing hard work and being asked all the time by Ed Services or the soup to like figure out how to add more, right? I would lock my door if I were them, right? Or if they see us coming, and it's greatly appreciated. And it's also happening in a year where we're transitioning to Munis and a new system, and all this is happening simultaneously. There's never a complaint. And when we talk about building equitable communities, that's not just the Ed Services side of the house. Human resources, and tonight we're highlighting as well business services. You do a lot to maintain the services that I know other districts haven't figured out how to provide for our students, and you do it really, really well, and we thank you.
so glad that you made that comment, Mr. Superintendent, as the board shares that feeling very strongly. Moving on to item 8.05, regarding approving the charter of school facilities use agreement with KIPP Collegiate. And members of the board, we do have a couple of comments, or did you want to make a comment, Mr. William, on this?
No, just that this is the facilities use agreement for KIPP Collegiate at Independence High to bring them up to align with their charter petition to 2025. And
Very good.
we did the Prop 39 process with them, as well as we negotiated the facilities use agreement with Mr. K, and he was very good and very fair with the negotiations.
Thank you. And we do have two comments, one of them here in person with, I want to call forward Mr. Heriberto Soto. After which we will also have another comment online. Please state your name for the record. Make sure that the microphone is on and point it towards you. Point the microphone towards you.
Hello, yeah.
Y que, por favor, di su nombre en comenzar.
Yes. Good evening, board members and superintendent. My name is Heriberto Soto. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. And also I want to thank you for allowing KIPP Collegiate is being staying here for our community. Just to be exact, the last 15th of May, my son graduated to be a mechanical engineer, thanks to the hard work that this school has been doing. So we appreciate for you to be partners with our school. And I am asking you if you could please help this school to keep doing the work they are doing with our community. Our community, I've been seeing, being the parent leader for the last 15 years. I've been seeing a lot of improvement and a lot of kids graduating from colleges. like my son, which I'm very proud. My daughter is still in Cape College. So please help them with what you can, allow them to use what they use, what they have, or give them the opportunity to keep giving that service to our community.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you
your
very
comments today. Mary Gillen, there's an online comment. Please share that with us.
Public comment from Adam K., staff for KIPP Public Schools, Northern California. I would like to thank the superintendent and board for the opportunity to comment. My name is Adam K., and I am the Director of Real Estate at KIPP Public Schools, Northern California. I have been before this board many times in the past 8 years for many reasons, and several times have been in front of the board for approval of our facility use agreements. I would particularly like to thank Interim Associate Superintendent of Business Services, Ron Willingham, for the many hours of discussion that we have had during the Prop 39 process and negotiating of the FUA. KIPP San Jose Collegiate has been at the Independence High School site for over a decade, and we feel part of the Independence High School community. We appreciate being able to be at Independence High School for all these years and appreciate consideration of the FUA by the board. We hope and trust that the board will approve the facilities use agreement and that we will be part of the Independence High School community for years to come. Thank you. That is the end of public comment.
Board President, there's a member of the public who would like to speak. Eva?
Hi, good evening. Hello, good evening. My name is Eva Heredia. I'm a mother of 2 high school students, Esperanza, a junior who will soon continue her journey to college, and Gabby, an incoming freshman next year. And I have 2 nephews at San Jose College. One she just graduated this summer. Both of my students went to KIPP Heritage Middle School, and my girls feel comfortable and safe. And that is why we choose KIPP for their education. The students have a great relationship with their teachers, mental health counselors, college advisories, and college counselors, and surrounded by the adversity of positive role models. For parents, we have many workshops and resources and more during the pandemic with high parents' participation and engagement. It has been harder, but I'm glad we made it. I would like to thank you to Trustee Perry Cortese and Trustee Lorena Chavez for taking the time to meet with parents in her busy schedule. It was really nice to learn more about each other. We hope we can meet with other trustees during the summer and into the fall. It is very important to me as a team so we can share our ideas and collaborate with each other. Thank you to Trustee Brian Doe for answering my emails and agreeing to meet with parents soon. Thank you to our student government board representative, Paula Escobar. You are a great role model for so many young in East San Jose. I know the students and parents will miss your voice and advocacy for the student in East Side Union High School District. Trustees and staff, thank you for all your support all these years. We hope we
Thank you. Thank you. I believe you concluded your remarks.
Maria Serratos, you have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Emily Vasquez. I am a student at KIPP San Jose Collegiate. I'm going to be translating my mother's speech to you today. Good evening. My name is Maria Serratos. I have been a member of the KIPP San Jose Collegiate community for over 13 years. In 2011, 2 of my children went to KIPP Hartwood and went on to KIPP San Jose Collegiate, and now they're both in college, one at UC Irvine and one at San Jose State. My youngest daughter is also following in the footsteps of her siblings. Collegiate offers them rigorous academic program that prepares them for their future and has many enrichment programs, clubs, and many sports as well. I chose KIPP Collegiate because they made me feel like family. I saw the academic rigor, the attentiveness of the teachers, and how they involve the community. Since the pandemic started, I signed up for the 10-week course with the Parenting Project, 16-week course with the PIQE, and another 8-week course from Foothill College's Family Engagement Institute this fall. I graduated from 5 courses from Foothill College. I, along with many other KIPP parents, appreciate the opportunities we have received at KIPP Collegiate. Finally, I want to thank Superintendent Brandon C. for his collaboration, and also Mrs. Cortisi and Mrs. Chavez for sharing their experiences as youth and leaders in the community and their words of encouragement to our KIPP families and I. I ask you today to continue the good work with KIPP so that they can continue to offer their program in the facilities where we have called home for the past 14 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other one, Mr. Superintendent?
Yes.
If not, let me go to Mary Gillen.
No, yeah, we do have other speakers.
You
Excuse me.
have more speakers?
Yes, I do.
How many more? Go ahead, Mr. Superintendent.
Elvira Boa. Elvira, you have 2 minutes. I think they were promoted to a panelist. So, Elvira, if you'd unmute, you'll be able to speak. Once you begin speaking, you'll have 2 minutes.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Hello, dear board trustees and district staff. My name is Bobby Arbola, and I am a proud member of the East Side Junior High School District and a part of the KIPP San Jose Collegiate School Committee. I first found out about KIPP when applying for a middle school for my kids. The KIPP Middle School did an amazing job preparing students for the high school. Now that both of my sons are in a high school, I can confidently say that KIPP has had a great impact on students' success and the community. Although KIPP tries its hardest to support all students' needs, they cannot do it that if the students' needs aren't met first. The school needs aren't met first. Our school has many needs that unfortunately without the district staff support hasn't and cannot happen. For years, we have been struggling to find storage space for all the sport equipment, numerous elective courses, tech, uniforms, old files, teacher materials, and student club materials. Our storage shed have been broken into and vandalized and robbed over the years. We have proposed numerous solutions and urge the district staff to please work together to find the solution that will meet the needs of our KSCC community, especially our students, so they have safe and equal school conditions and access. Thank you for all your continuing support and meeting the school families and staff. Thank you. Thank you for, I really appreciate if you guys can help us with all this. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to suggest to our KIPP speakers that there is support on the board for approving this charter school facilities use agreement. And if you don't have anything much different to say than what has been said, I invite you to consider not making a further comment so that the board can proceed with its agenda.
We have
But
one.
if you feel a need to speak, then by all means do so.
We have one last person requesting the comment, Sang Tran.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. Yes. Hi, my name is Sang, and I am a student at KIPP San Jose Collegiate. KIPP San Jose Collegiate is a very good school because we are able to easily connect, build strong relationship with our staff and students. We always get to see our school leaders and we talk to them like our friends. That is the reason why I am comfortable to be here today to speak on the issues we have at our school. The teachers encourage us students to try our best and will support us until we students get the concept. I feel that I struggle at English, but my English teacher always say that I have improved and I am doing great. Same with the other teachers. The teachers also encourage diversity and strive for an inclusive environment. And I feel comfortable speaking Vietnamese in class because the teachers are very inclusive. The teachers work very hard to keep everyone safe and provide a quality education. That's why I like the KIPP San Jose Collegiate. And I am in a robotics club, and our classrooms are so packed with items because we share classroom space with theater club, AP stats, AP calculus, and a lot of other clubs, which makes the room cluttered. Some of the classroom looks like storage, and KIPS San Jose Collegiate needs more approved storage space. We currently have one storage and container and 5 tiny sheds that have been broken into many times. If the Eastside Union High School District would like us to remove the sheds, then we would need an alternative solution and additional storage. We urge that the district staff to please support our current challenges with storage. On a side note, I like to play sports with my friend during lunch break and after school, but I can't help but notice the drastic difference between Independence basketball court and the adjacent KIPS San Jose Collegiate basketball court. The Independence just had their court repaved and fresh lines done this spring, while KIPS San Jose Collegiate remains old, cracked, uneven, and unsafe. I wish that once we return from summer break, we had a safe place to play sport without fear of getting hurt, and that is fair. So please consider approving the repairs. We thank you for your time and collaboration, and we thank all the trustees that came to our school and connected with the parents and students to make the future generation better. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Mary Gillen. Oh, no, you still have another one, Mr. Superintendent?
That is all the public
Okay,
comment.
Mary Gillen, you have another one online.
Public comment from Lorena Solorio, community member. Good evening, trustees, Associate Superintendent Willingham, and Superintendent Bandersy. I want to thank you for your continued support and collaboration on the needs of KIPS San Jose Collegiate. This year has been filled with many challenges, transitions, and many emergencies. Through that all, our teams have been able to work hard and solve some of our needs at both of our high schools. Currently, our school has very limited space for storage. We have one medium-sized storage container that is very organized to maximize the use of space. However, we also have 10 plus sports, electives, clubs, tech, theater supplies, and uniforms that need safe storage. We have teachers sharing classrooms and also work really hard to maximize the space and storage in their classroom. We urge the district staff to please work with the KIPS staff in finding a solution to this immediate need that will keep our equipment safe and from vandalism. Thank you. That is the end of public comment on this item.
Thank you. If there are no further comments, members of the board, you can make a motion or you can make additional comments. But we do need approval.
Move for approval.
Item 8.05. Okay, moved by Doe and seconded by Lay. If there's no further discussion, school board, student board member, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you. And members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? Passes unanimously. Congratulations to our KIP Collegiate Charter High School. Moving on to item, the next two items, 9.01 and 9.02, have to do with the proposed tentative agreement with the California School Employees Association, CSEA, Chapter 187. 9.01 is the mandated public hearing. 9.02 is for discussion and action to ratify and approve this tentative agreement. So
Move for approval.
Nope,
Sorry.
we need to do 9.01, which is the public hearing. And I hereby open a public hearing that's about disclosure of the major provisions of the proposed tentative agreement with the California School Employees Association, Chapter 187, for a period of July 1, 2022 through June 30 of 2025, calling for any speakers in this public hearing regarding this matter. Okay. This is the protocol, 3 calls for testimony or comment, and this is the second call during our public hearing on this matter. Any comments on the proposed tentative agreement with CSEA Chapter 187? And for the third and final time, calling for any comments during this public hearing regarding the proposed tentative agreement with CSEA Chapter 187. Hearing none and seeing none, this public hearing is now closed. And we will proceed to item 9.02, which is discussion and or action to ratify and approve the tentative agreement with California School Employees Association, Chapter 187. Members of the board, comments or a motion?
Move for approval.
I'll second.
Moved by Dos, seconded by Cortese. There is no further discussion. Student Board Member Hunt. Oops, you certainly do. I almost, I even made a note to myself and I overlooked it. Calling Mr. Julio Pardo, President of CSEA, to the podium for up to 5 minutes as the representative of the CSEA.
Julio Pardo, President, East Foothills CSEA. Just to wake myself up a little bit, I kind of laughed when I first looked at the agenda tonight, because I saw that CSEA was going to be done at 6:20. So I could have been home 2 hours ago, but based on that, but anyway, I just needed to thank the district for the negotiations this year. In the past, we've had some shorter negotiations, but those were always for what we call reopeners in the middle of the contract. This is the first time when we had to go over the entire contract and decide what we wanted to negotiate. And in the past, sometimes it's gone over a year and a half. At the shortest, it was usually 7 or 8 months. This one we finished within 2 months, I believe. I'm correct. I'm going to turn around for a second. About 2 months. I think we started at the very end of March. We managed to finish at the end of May. So I got to thank Mr. Nguyen. Well, one thing, and his team. I got to thank my team because, you know, they made sure that we fought for what we believed in. I did not get everything that I wanted for my people, which is expected. On the other hand, I know the district gave a little more than they were proposed at the beginning, which is what we like, because that means it's a compromise. And that's what we're always looking for, is that compromise. So I'm hoping that this will continue in the future. And all I ask is that the board say yes to this contract. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pardo. And yes, we do appreciate the good faith partnership on both sides. And thank you to CSEA Chapter 187. Members of the board, comments or a motion for approval? Oh, no, we already have a motion and a second. Remind me who moved and who seconded? Joe moved and Lay second? Lay seconded. Okay, so student board member, how do you vote? Does a student board member vote on this type of matter? No, you don't vote on contract things. Okay, so members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, and all opposed? Any opposed? And any abstentions? No, it passes unanimously. Congratulations to CSEA and to the administration for this accomplishment.
And thank you for the negotiating team from both sides. Appreciate it.
All right. Moving on to item 10, public members who wish to address the board. Do we have any requests?
There's no online comment.
Yes, we do.
Written, yeah.
Ready? Okay.
Go ahead.
Online public comment, Alberto Camacho, staff member. No cops on campus. We cannot take steps backward. Next public comment online, Jessica Gutierrez, staff member. I'd like to continue to reiterate that SROs do not belong on our campuses. The safety challenges faced by schools this year will not be resolved by policing of our campuses and students. To quote American Federation of Teachers, as for schools, we must secure adequate funding to help all our students succeed academically and socially, but we must also do all we can to create safe and welcoming environments. That requires us to rethink school security, starting with separating police forces from schools and ending the militarism and zero tolerance policies that have criminalized so many of our students of color. Let's continue to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. That is the end of online public comment.
We have no more requests to speak under item 10, public members who wish to address the board, or do we?
No, there's no online
Okay,
comment.
okay. Thank you. We're done with item 10, moving on to 11.01 on Update on the novel coronavirus and adopting the resolution authorizing remote teleconference meetings. Mr. Superintendent.
Yeah, this evening, we want to just reiterate that we continue to monitor our levels, that we continue to apply for more testing and work with the state and our local agencies about getting tests out to our families during the summer and the fall. We'll continue to be vigilant, but for tonight, we're asking that you approve the resolution for virtual board meetings from June 24th to July 25th.
Move to approval. Oh, second.
Moved by Cortese, seconded by Doe, and student board member, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, and members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes unanimously. Item 12.01 regarding the California Accountability Dashboard Local Indicators. Associate Superintendent Marquez.
This item will actually be presented by our Director of Assessment Accountability, Kristen King.
So nice to see you, Kristen.
Nice to be here. All right. Good evening. I'm Kristen King, Director of Assessment and Accountability. And I'm here to present to you tonight the annual presentation to the board for our local indicators. It's a legal requirement that we do it at the board meeting when the Lcap is approved. The local indicators are used in the Lcap, as Teresa mentioned to you earlier. So I'm going to go through this briefly. You've had access to the presentation since last week, including the public. So I'm just going to briefly go over it. And if you have questions at the end, you can ask. So the local indicators cover 5 areas: basic services, implementation of academic standards, parent engagement, school climate, and access to a broad course of study. So on basic services, those are aligned with Williams. They're the credentials of teachers, textbooks, access to standards aligned textbooks, and the condition of facilities. And all of that information is also reported out in the school accountability report cards. The implementation of academic standards is a self-reflection rubric. And we do that every year. And the comments that we'll be focusing on for that are looking at the priority standards and our determination of those standards and rolling those out district-wide. For parent engagement, it's also a self-reflection tool that we used, and the results are in the presentation. It focuses on 3 areas: building relationships, building partnerships for student outcomes, and seeking input for decision-making. We highlighted the various forms of site outreach that they do on a regular basis with parents, meetings, coffees with the principal, things like that. And we also advocate or highlighted the need to help parents understand and educate them on the educational system so that they can advocate for the needs of their students across the system. We also highlighted all of the efforts that we have done to build partnerships with our parents in terms of DLAC and all of the different Lcap meetings and things that we do. But we also indicated that we still need to do more connecting to our underserved parent population so that we can hear their voice and include them in our decision-making. For the school climate survey, we utilize the panorama data. So it's the same data points that you saw last year. And we have to look at school connectedness and safety. And then in addition to that, we looked at the climate of support for academic learning and knowledge and fairness of discipline roles and norms. And we saw a slight increase in school connectedness, and the 3 sub data points under safety, the other data points all went down slightly, maybe 1 or 2%. All that gets posted are the dark blue data points. The other lighter blue data points were just included for your information. And then access to a broad course of study is a self-investigation. So it's not a self-rubric. We actually investigate to see if we have student populations that are not getting access to a broad course of study in comparison to other student groups. And so what we found is that our English language learner population is not accessing college and career readiness at the same rates. They don't access that third year of math and that third year of science necessary for college and career readiness like other students, and as well as our AP course offerings. And then we also found that students with disabilities are underrepresented in our general education programs and coursework, which is not new. You've heard about both of those things in other presentations that we've done. And then we highlight some of the things that we're going to do to fix that. So in a nutshell, that's the local indicators. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Because you speak my love language, data. It's one of my love languages, at least. I do have some questions. So this is directly connected to the LCAP, yes?
Yes, we use these data points in the LCAP.
So when we look at the gaps here within like our focus areas, what is it, the 5 focus areas that go out in the California dashboard? The things that we put in the LCAP are the ways that we're addressing those gaps. Right, okay, so it's 2 separate documents that are speaking to each other. So if we go up, can we look at one of the, like where we are on the rubric where it has like the light green? for
Oh yeah,
example?
that's the parent one.
Yeah. How do we know like where we are? What are we comparing it to? Like, how do we know we're at 2 and getting to a 5?
So it's part of the survey. So when I do the LCAP survey, I include these questions of the 3 areas within the survey. And so based on the responses and then based on just our own evaluation of our programs and services, that's how we rate ourselves based on how they've defined beginning development, initial implementation. And so some of these items, the 3 main areas are included as part of the survey. And then, like I said, we review our own services that we have, and then we rate ourselves under that. These metrics that you see here are also included in the LCAP. So I've included them in the key areas for the goals.
Okay, that's helpful. And so I'm remembering something that you said, Teresa, that the LCAP is a living document. So how often do these surveys go out and like, 'cause that question is coming from like, how often do we like come back, do like a cycle, see where we're doing well, see what we need to work on, and like.
So every year, right, it's the annual survey. So we do, and it's also, some of this information is always taken from the panorama. So the panorama is done in the fall and then in the spring, right? And so we have some information there, which is connected here. Kirsten just shared it. Then we do the annual LCAP survey, right? And then also just throughout our collection of information through the DAC labs, through the cafecitos with the principals, like, you know, each of the sites also informing where they're at, so that then as a district, we say, okay, this is where we're at, because this school, yes, but not this school is there yet. So as a district, right, we look at where we are as a system.
Okay, and I imagine like that the parent coordinators see this, so that like, especially at schools where there's gaps, right, they can say like, hey, this is an opportunity for us, and there's stuff put in place to.
Yes, yep.
Okay. Okay. Can we go up to another table that has the green stuff? That one. That's 15. That one is fine, 13. Which one is that? Building relationships, is that also via survey? Are all of them via survey?
Yeah, so there's 3 key areas. It's building relationships, seeking input. And I think what was, can you go on? Yeah, building relationships, building partnerships, and then seeking input. So on the survey, there's questions specific to those 3 areas.
Okay, so all the green stuff is in regards to specifically the parent engagement.
Correct.
Okay, how do we measure the other buckets? Because that's one bucket, right, of the California dashboard, right? We have 5 areas or 5 buckets, if you will, whatever we want to call them. I was a little confused with like how we got to like, how do you rate yourself a 2 or a 4 or a 5? Like in the state standards, I guess that's another one, right? How do we get to that?
So that's in reflection with Martha, the director of instructional services, the subject area coordinators, and the other directors, in reflection going through the different questions to determine where we were in the process of implementing academic standards. We're not a 5 anywhere because that's full implementation and you're just sailing along. And so for the most part, we have been focusing on aligning to the Common Core state standards, but we needed to get focus standards in line so that we could have a guaranteed curriculum across the district in all of our different subject areas, plus some subject areas we're still in process of changing frameworks, et cetera. So it was those types of information that went into answering the questions. You wanna?
This is where also like the priority standards were.
Yep.
Yes.
Correct.
So that we can support all of our content areas. And I'm remembering all the subject area coordinators speaking to where they are in the process. Sometime in the summer is when we're supposed to roll everything, or by beginning of this upcoming
For the
year.
beginning of the upcoming school year, yes.
So we're gonna be in a strong place to make some segue and all of this.
Correct, yes.
Will we be able to see like how we're doing throughout the year? Is there a space for that?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. I know you're excited, Kristen. Awesome. Thank you. I was a little confused by this presentation, but this is really helpful. being
Yeah,
able to
it is
just connect.
weird. They're a combination of preset data points that come to us and then these self-reflection rubrics. So,
Yeah, yeah, and it's important that we understand where this is coming from and how we're like looking at this and thinking about this, because this is compared to the state, right? It's not just here locally, but how we're doing in comparison or in contact to everybody else, right?
There isn't, it's not like other data like graduation rate where you could actually see that. You would have to look at every district's dashboard to see their local indicator. So for example, we could look on San Jose Unified's dashboard and see how they rated themselves on implementation of academic standards or parent engagement. And we could do that comparison, but there is nothing, there aren't like reports that actually show like East Side compared to Santa Clara County, compared to the state, stuff like that, like we have for.
Got it.
Yeah, because these are the metrics that the state says, hey, each district, you guys figure out how you want to measure yourself in these areas here. You figured out, here's some guidance, here's a reflection tool, here's a rubric for your own self-assessment in these particular areas.
But while this is linked to LCAP, it still addresses like everything and everyone, right? So these are important things for us to be looking at to see like big progress. Yeah, okay, great. Thank you.
Does this require action?
No, just acknowledgement.
Just, okay. Yes, Member Larry?
I have a question on page, believe page 13. On parent engagement, self-reflection tool, building relationship. Saw it here that we on the stage 3 initial implementation and stage 4 full implementation. But in the category is, from rate LEA progress to rate LEA in creating welcoming environment for all family in the community. I was wondering for the stage 5 full implementation and sustainability was not fulfilled. I was wondering is that we still have to work on that stage, or are you going to look into how we're gonna make some progress, or how do we end up to has only on the stage 3 and stage 4?
So the LCAP, right, to Trustees Chavez comments, this is connected to the LCAP. So we're addressing these areas through the LCAP. So if you go back to the actual plan, you'll see how we're addressing this aspect, and in particular, in creating welcoming environments, right? The entire LCAP is specifically written towards that, right? Our equitable community statement, it's towards that. So right now we place ourselves in initial implementation only because we continue to recognize through surveys that there's some students that are still saying, I don't feel like I belong here, right? We're about, I think, right, like 50%, Kristen, I think the survey reflected that in terms of students feeling a sense of belonging. So until we can, put those actions in place to move towards full implementation and sustainability, we gave ourselves just a 3 because we know that there's still a lot of work to be done in that area. And the LCAP action items speak to this, which will hopefully allow us to be able to move to the full implementation. Let's see.
I remember that I did request to understand more about PCA, Parent Community Specialist, right? PCS, but I did not know, how to see, the work and how did we help out parents. I like to see, what we get out of this and how do we support the parents. Now, during the pandemic, we come back in person, so like, I think is, what are we going to do to help the parent to be engaged into our students' program or education, and how do we gonna help them to be involved? So that's why I think I did request, I think several months before. I know board trustee Lorena Chavez and I think we are very involved on the parent community specialist, and we want to understand a bit more and how do we achieve, we want to see, what are those programs that will be able to help engage the parents as well as the student. So that's what I think is, I did not see on the, on the end of the kind of like a future items. I thought I had something before, but I thought is dropped out. So can we request something that I can understand a bit more of those value of PCS and how did we engage and how do we continue to help the parents as well as, the student?
Yes, we could definitely bring that back.
Other comments? This is simply informational.
Yes.
So, thank you very much. We're going to move on in the agenda to item 13.01 on contracts for services over 25,000. Need a motion?
Second.
Moved by Chavez and seconded by Doe. Okay. If there's no further discussion, student representative, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
The members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Passes unanimously. 13.02 on the California State Preschool Program contract. I don't know that we need a presentation on that.
No, I'll move to approve. This is just like a pass through thing.
Okay. Moved by Cortese, seconded by Lay. Student board member, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you. Members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? Passes unanimously. 13.03 contract for general child care and development program.
Oh, this is the same thing, but childcare instead of preschool.
Move
so-
for approval.
Moved by Doe, seconded by Chavez. Student board member, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you. And members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Passes unanimously. 13.04 on the summer delegation of authority to award emergency contracts.
Move for approval.
Move second.
Seconded by Lay. Moved by Lay and seconded by Doe. Student board member, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you, members of the board. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? 13.05 regarding the education protection account.
Move for approval.
A quick question about what this is.
Go ahead.
Education protection account. This was the tax levy in 2012 for the sales tax and a levy on high income earners, where we get $200 per student. And so every year the board has to do the resolution that we will only use this for teacher salaries.
Oh, got it.
And inside there is how much we get and where it goes.
Got it. Thank you.
Moved by Doe, and we need a second.
A second.
Okay,
Oh,
seconded by
fine.
Cortese. Student board member, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
To the board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? Passes unanimously. 14.01, approved declaration of need for fully qualified educators.
Move for approval.
Moved by Doe, seconded by Lay. Student board member, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
The board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes unanimously. 14.02 on approving increase for districts classified in certificated management salary schedule for unrepresented employees.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Chavez, second by Cortese. Student board member, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? And it passes unanimously.
Board President, could you please repeat who moved and who seconded?
Oh, that's right.
I'm sorry, say that again. Oh, so not to, student board member cannot vote on these items, and so just strike that from the record, okay? 14.03, action to approve revised salary schedule for position of associate superintendent.
Second.
Moved by Lay, seconded by Cortese. Oops, student board member can't vote on this. Members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes unanimously. 14.04, approve employment contract for the senior manager of internal audits.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Doe, seconded by Cortese. Members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes unanimously. 14.05, approve employment contract for the senior manager of the bond program.
Move for approval.
Moved by Doe, seconded by Lay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes unanimously. 14.06, approve the revised side letter of agreement for the president's release time from the East Side Union High School District and the East Side Teachers Association.
Move for approval.
Moved by Doe, seconded by Lay. Student board member, how do you vote?
I can vote on this one.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Well, yes, okay, members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes unanimously. 14.07, adopt career increments for confidential employees that match the career increments for the district's CSEA members. Moved by
Second.
Chavez, seconded by Doe. This one you cannot vote on, I believe. Student board representative, members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes unanimously. On to item 15.01 on approving the planned increment 2 and amendment 1 with Altman Construction for Independence High School Electrical Services Project. Moved by who? Moved by Lay. Need a
I'll
second?
second.
Seconded by Cortese. Student board member, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes unanimously. 15.02, approving bond capital project contracts over 50,000.
Approve.
Moved by Cortese,
Second.
seconded by Doe. Student board member, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
All members of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes unanimously. 15.03 on approving construction cost escalation for the Yerba Buena Performing Fine Arts Classrooms and Theater Building Project. Moved by Lay. Member Lay.
Just a comment. Well, I'll second, but I want to
Seconded
make a
by
comment
Cortese.
too. Does it, so this is basically a loan, is this a loan out of board discretionary? Or if this is a grant out of board discretionary?
If you look at the last line there, any amounts from the approved board measure Z discretionary fund will be deducted against any potential future bond site allocations to that high school.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing that, but I believe it's there. Okay,
Should
good.
do-
Thank you.
so
Oh,
on
I
the
see.
wall.
Okay, I see. Yeah, okay. All right, we
Okay.
can go.
And I forgot who moved and who seconded. Lay moved and Cortez
I
seconded.
second that, yeah.
Student board member, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
The board all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? It passes unanimously. We're at the consent calendar.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Moved by Cortez, seconded by Lay to approve the consent calendar. Student board member, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
And the board all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? And it passes unanimously. Item 21, there are no items under section 21. Item 22, future agenda items, members of the board.
Yes, I did request for the PCS report about the parent community specialist.
I'm not understanding. Could you speak more clearly into your microphone?
Yeah, I request the report from PCS, the involvement of the parents, community specialists that will help engage the parents as well as the student from the pandemic time until now. So I like to see what are the role and how would they support our parents as well as the student.
Mr. Superintendent, is that clear for you?
Yes, she mentioned that earlier in the previous presentation, and
All
we're
right.
clear on what the request is.
Any other comments under this section? Members of the board?
Can we, and I think we already kind of do this, make sure we talk about LCAP and our outcomes, our KPIs, like in every single meeting. And I think like what Trustee Lay mentioned, that could be part of our LCAP conversation, right? Instead of just speaking to one specific thing, if we talk about the whole goal and how we're making progress, because that way we get more than just, what is the PC? We got to think about the whole thing, right? And see how the district is engaging in tackling that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll find a way to kind of synthesize these plans and these actions and work with the teams for what would be most meaningful in the future.
Yeah, because also I'd love to see, the schools come back and do the presentations. That's also part of LCAP, right? I imagine. And so, yeah, I just wanted to like pull that out.
Okay,
And then I had earlier asked, could we have a demo of Illuminate for the board?
Yeah, we've got the keys, we'll drive. Yeah.
All right, so no other comments on item section 22. Moving on to Board of Trustees and Superintendent communications and comments. I'll just start to my far left with Trustee Doe.
No comment.
Vice President Chavez.
I don't think I could reiterate enough my gratitude to everybody for all the work, especially as of recent. There's just been a lot of work that has been done and a lot of work to be done this year. And I wasn't even in it like y'all were. Like, it was one heck of a year, right? And I feel very, very proud of the work that we've been able to do as a collective, the work that we accomplished, the work that we started, all the obstacles that we overcame. There's just so much to celebrate. So I'm feeling really energized going into this upcoming school year to just really start knowing a lot of unknowns, right? That we didn't know were a thing coming into this year. So yeah, just want to express my gratitude for everyone in our school community, starting from our administrators to our teachers, to our classified staff, to our students, to our parents, and all the community members that as a collective, we made it together. So looking forward to 2023. Is that right? Yeah, 22, 23. Okay, not point 23. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
All right, Board Clerk Cortese.
Just want to reiterate Board President's comment about his faith in our administrative team, Teresa Marquez and Glenn Vanderzee, and welcoming and acknowledging Tom Wynn's contribution this year. Thank you for stepping up and being part of this team this year. It was amazing. And again, Ron, heck of a year. I mean, good to be on this side of it, right? And looking forward to another one, but get some rest first.
Trustee Lay.
Well, I want to say that have a restful summer. I know it's a lot of works that we're gonna have to start in August. Appreciate every administrators as well as teachers and staff, especially as the soup right now here is with the superintendent Glenn Van Der Zee, associate superintendent Tom and Teresa Marcus and our CBO Ron Whelan. I could say that I'm very proud of our team. And I think I'm going to continue. You're going to see me in November. And I appreciate Paula. Congratulations and good luck. Hope that you be able to come back and visit us sometime. But we are very proud of your journey, as well as hopefully that you know, you will be succeed, you know, in your college, and we are very proud of you. Thank you.
For my comments, I just want to reiterate how much I appreciate the educational leadership in this district from Superintendent Van Der Zee and Associate Superintendent Marquez. I want you to know I have an enormous amount of trust and faith in your leadership. And I'm looking forward to your continued boldness in how we might move this district forward. I am so appreciating the way that you handled this matter and engaging with our stakeholders on the idea of a fourth administrator. And I'm again encouraging you not to, that is, to bring it back in some kind of a framework or format that allows us to re-engage thoughtfully. I'm with you. You know, when this board wants to move the district forward and you are the team, and by extension in our business office and our human resources office, our associate superintendents there as well comprise a strong team for our district. I can't say that enough. So thank you, Mr. Superintendent, your comments. Oh, excuse me, I want to go to our student board representative.
I know I already said a lot earlier in the meeting, but yeah, I just wanted to extend the gratitude to some staff members at the EVHS campus have supported me along the way, my peers, of course, the SGB members, my SGB board. I'd like to thank board member Cortese for always being there every 2 weeks, always answering my questions. Thank you, Mr. Van Der Zee, for also being there to answer all my questions. And just both of them being extremely supportive of both our ideas and coming to SGB always with open minds and always like being willing to listen to us. Like, thank you so much. I don't know if you two like know how much that means to us as students, and knowing that you guys are always there to listen to us and what our thoughts are. Again, it just has been an incredible experience. It feels weird that I'm kind of signing off, but I know that like our district is in good hands. Like I look around at this room and I can't fathom all the work that it took, to be honest, but I know that all of you are incredibly dedicated. And, you know, we did it. We came back from a pandemic and we're taking the steps to kind of reimagine how our school district functions and how we can move forward to help our homeless youth, our foster youth, our youth of color, our first generation youth, like the list goes on. And I can tell you the resources at this district helped me as a first generation low income Hispanic student. And I can only imagine how it is for other students. And so I just can't say thank you enough.
Again, the board wishes you just the best of everything. Paula Escobar, our student governing board representative, this is your last meeting. Stay in touch. We're going to want to know what's going on with you, and we just see a very bright future for you. Okay, thank you. And Mr. Superintendent,
I want to start by thanking the team that's sitting in front of you. I appreciate the wisdom and the go after itness, the independence, it's the self-direction that all three of you demonstrated this year. And sometimes with a whole lot of fantasy around saying it, it's like, there's the, the vibe, and we know what we're doing, but to think of Ron getting to know a new budget with these realities and new dollars and new programs and being able to just get up here and lay it out for us in a way that would just made sense to folk and allowed us to like make long-term decisions in a way that really allowed negotiations to really go smooth. Thank you for that. For Teresa, for everything that you experienced this year and what you gave to us, I thank you. The having to create an independent study program out of nowhere because the state didn't give us the right guidance. Sorry, I got to keep saying that. Is a testament to how you and your team could create something that's essentially a 12th high school while not losing focus on the work that we have to do. And that's one thing I'm super proud of our district. We didn't lose focus on building equitable communities because of the pandemic. And Tom, thank you. First year, woohoo, getting those negotiated. Yeah, right on. You know, you can count. I'm talking to Tom on a Sunday morning. He's like, I'm over at the county. I just got a flatbed truck. I'm picking up 25,000 tests, and I'm gonna have them all distributed before by Monday. Come on, like that was just Herculean. So on top of everything that you did, it's just there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with these folks, and I got to voice that for our teachers and staff who subbed when there were shortages. For those that had to deal with having COVID or relatives having COVID and still found a way to teach and to support and to fill in for others, it made us better and it allowed our students to thrive coming back from the pandemic. Paula, I've been trying to get like where Paula's going to school out of her for like forever, and she like started with a bunch of schools and then it came down to 2, and I'm not going to ask out loud, but this is just what I know about Paula and what I know about all the other seniors on that SGB is that it doesn't matter which of those 2 you choose, because you will make either one of them a better place, and the students around will benefit from who you are and how you see the world and how you positioned yourself to make a difference for others is just really humbling, and I thank you for that, and just wish you well in what you do in the future. Now that's 5. We got to know each other a little bit this year, right? Like I thought I knew him, right?
Sort of, kind of. Yeah.
All right, so we've done a lot of good work together, and I think we've had some conversations and some reflections and times of disagreement and certain times of total alignment, but I think we kept our eyes on the prize. And want to say that for next year, I'm going to be putting a lot more attention out here onto our sites, and because now that we understand what we're about collectively, it's really been an honor working with the 5 of you. So every site administration, site teams, parents, students, thank you for a year that really responded super positively to what our students needed. And I've spoken too much, so we'll see you in the fall for the Spartan Eastside Promise.
As part of wrapping up our final meeting of the school year, I just know how much this board appreciates Mary Gillen, the executive assistant. You know, she is like multi-talented, and her commitment knows no limits. Whether it's any hour of the night or any day of the week, if the board needs something, if the superintendent needs something, she's right there. And we've learned to count on her. So Mary, on behalf of the board, thank you. Item 23.04, board meeting evaluation. Any comment? Okay, Chavez spoke. She said she thinks we did great. All right. Thank you for that. Report from closed session actions, 24.01, legal counsel.
Closed session item 2.02, student 21-22-022. The board unanimously approved the expulsion of student 21-22-022 on the terms and conditions approved by the board. Also closed session item 2.02, student 21-22-23. The board unanimously approved the stipulated agreement in lieu of expulsion for student 21-22-23 as modified by the board. Closed session item 2.03, the board unanimously approved the annual evaluation of the senior manager of internal audit. There are no further actions to report.
Well,
except for the fact that I have to also thank Mary Lou, who will take all of these items tonight and before going home, have them all there to sign and really handle our business and make sure that as a district, we're doing things the right way. And I can't I can't thank you enough for your commitment and your tutelage during the last year. Thank you.
All right, folks, I am officially adjourning this meeting and we are complete with the school year. Meeting adjourned.